I lived my first couple of years in the Netherlands, and I have a very vivid memory of myself on the back of my mother's bicycle, biking to the grocery store. I remember the bricks, and I remember it was green everywhere integrated into the city. And there was always people, it was very human scaled, it was a very green environment. And then when I was 4, we moved back to the United States, and I have this very vivid memory of, again, making this commute to the grocery store on the back of my mother's bicycle. But this time it was just like a sea of concrete. And I just remember the sidewalks were really dangerous. There was cars flying everywhere. There wasn't a bike path, it was a sidewalk, and we go up and down the dips, and it was scary, and there was no green, it was just gray concrete. And so I knew from a very early age, I had this sense of what it's like to live in a place where you're surrounded by nature, where nature is integrated into your everyday life, and then a place where it was very devoid of the natural world. Birding is quintessential ecotherapy because birders are so present and aware to the natural world around them. They're always paying attention. They're always noticing things that most people don't. Everywhere they go, because birds are everywhere, right? So birders are always looking up in the sky. They're always paying attention. They're noticing the natural world around them, and most other people don't do that.
So one time I was walking with some friends at night, and I pointed out how there were these spider webs with drops of dew on them in the lights leading to the amphitheater, and someone just looked at me and said, "Why were you even looking there? How did you notice that?" And it's just when you're birding, you're looking for everything all of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a lot of times people who bird are really conscious of conservation issues and things like that, just because you have to know what kind of habitats things are in, or what their conservation status is.
For example, birdwatchers discovered that this bird, the rusty blackbird, they have counted them and they've declined by 95%. There's only 5% of them left in the whole world. Now most people would just say, oh, that's a blackbird. They wouldn't even know what it was. But birders know that this is a different kind of blackbird. This one nests up in the boreal forest in the subarctic. And then it migrates down to the southeastern United States. And it's a very specific habitat. It just so happens that one of the places that they spend the winter is on the William & Mary campus. And so our students get to see this diminishing flock of blackbirds every year and develop a personal connection and study them and know that what we find out about these blackbirds could alter their fate. Once a species goes extinct, it can never occur again.
What I noticed with birders is that they then care for the natural environment. They understand the importance of preserving the natural environment because they love it. They have this connection with it. They have this relationship. And that's the whole idea of ecotherapy, is you build this relationship and then you want to take care of the natural world, right? It's like those two pieces are essential, right? It's a give and take.
You can go out and you can learn about the birds and you can start to love them, and then you can start to want to save them. It became possible only in 1936 because of this book by Peterson, which was the first time ever that a regular person who wasn't an expert scientist could actually look at these old pictures and see what the different birds are. My favorite course to teach, of course, is ornithology. What I've done over the years with that course is to change it from a regular course with lecture and textbook and exams and papers to something that allows students to pick out what it is they want their connection to be with birds. So some students drive all over the state of Virginia looking for as many different species as possible, and that inspires a sort of passion for bird chasing and rare birds that leaves the academic realm and becomes maybe a way of seeing the world that is new and different.
We're really lucky to live on a campus that has such incredible natural resources, and promoting sort of the return of species to the area, especially Central Campus, is something exciting that Bird Club gets to work on.
I think it's just really important to get young people involved because, again, we hadn't been introduced to this until coming to college and meeting people. So we're kind of trying to continue introducing people to the fact that birds are a thing and birding is a thing, and it's really cool.
To get involved in birding, all you need is a pair of shoes. You just go outside. There's literally hundreds of thousands of birds in Williamsburg, of hundreds of species, and they change throughout the year. You don't even need to know what they are. You can just go out and enjoy them. Put out a bird feeder and get them to come to your house or your dormitory. But then you're going to start to wonder why this one looks different than that one, or what this one is that you've never seen before. And you start to learn them and memorize them, just like you would with any other thing in the world that you wanted to know about. You would practice, and you would read about them, and you look at their pictures. Then you need to spend hours and hours looking at the birds, looking at the book, looking back at the birds, and listening to the birds and figuring out what they are. If you can go out with someone else who already knows more than you do, that's really helpful. It's also much more fun.
When you come in and there's these people who are birding at a really high level, there can almost seem to be like an insurmountable wall of information that you feel like you could never attain. So fostering an environment where it feels like people can ask questions and you're not embarrassed to give a wrong answer, that's, I feel like, a really important part, making people want to bird. So it doesn't just seem like you can't bird unless you know everything, because that's definitely not true. And there's a lot to be learned from other people.
Typically, after we have a semester of ornithology, we would have a faculty-student bird club that would last for a semester or two, and it would be led by me. And in the last decade or so, the Bird Club of William Mary has sort of sprung up from those roots. It's a full-blown student activity group with a social life of its own and momentum of its own, and it's been great to see. They're interested in both conserving birds on and around campus, but also just getting out and enjoying nature on campus and off campus through birds.
I think initially when we started out, we were worried, is there not going to be enough interest in this? But it seems like every year we get people who are interested. So hopefully the club will continue to grow. We've got a lot of young newbies who are going to take over after we leave and stuff like that. I'm hoping basically that we can just keep getting more and more people into this, because I think it's a really fun hobby and it's a really great way to experience the outdoors. And then just keep birding too, obviously.
Right.
There's always more to see.
Instead of nature just being this thing out there that we all know is probably good to save, but also it's kind of hard to save in all its entirety. You can target specific birds that you love, and you can work to conserve them.
A takeaway I would like people to get maybe is that birding really does, whether you are really tense about it or not so tense, it really does give you an added appreciation of nature and the outdoors. Even in places you wouldn't expect to find it, there's always something. And birding is a great way to kind of have a conduit into that kind of understanding, just because things are so different everywhere. It's really easy to get into and start to appreciate it.
I think an excellent way to visualize that sort of diversity, especially in the small places like gas stations or city parks that you don't think about as being particularly ecologically rich spaces, is the website eBird, where birders can record their observations and for specific hotspots as fine as their own backyards sometimes. And just looking at that is always really impressive to me, just to see how much life there is all around us and how diverse it is. And even looking at how it varies with the season or the year observations were recorded, and just sort of remembering that there's so many birds around us all of the time. And then you can even expand that to think about other species and how much are you not seeing when you're just casually walking around town.
Like, this is a typical birder. They're always looking up there, and things that you don't ever notice, that they're always watching. They're always paying attention when you're outside.
Because when you spend a lot of time scanning treetops and brush for like the smallest movements or colors, you just start picking things out. When you're studying ecology, you can't really get away from any taxa in particular. It's all interconnected.